So welcome everybody to this beautiful session today. I'm trying to be as effective as possible. So let's give it a round here. Let's welcome Stephen on the show. Please, Stephen, introduce yourself really quickly.
Hello, everybody. My name is Stephen Strickland. I'm based in New York. I live in New Jersey, but I'm a New York actor, director, host, producer. I've been acting for about 25, 26 years. I've been blessed to do some TV, some shows you may know, some films that recently come out that you may know. And my motto is do what you love what you do, what you love what you do. This is my apparel.
That's
And
beautiful.
I'm very happy to be here. I'm also an acting coach as well. So, it's always
Fantastic.
to jump on things like this and get, different perspectives and things like that. So happy to be here and nice to meet you all.
Thank you so much, Stephen, for stopping by. As a matter of fact, our first claim 10 years ago was "Do Love Act" as an acting claim. So that's kind of in your ballpark, somewhere like kind of related to what you're claiming to your brand is right now. So beautiful. We already shared that interesting aspect. Stephanie, welcome to the show.
Okay. My name is Stephanie John. I'm a beginner. Anytime I have the opportunity to join one of your classes, I do. Just trying to soak up as much as I can. And I've only been in a few small parts as like extras with small speaking parts. So, these type of classes are very, very important for me to just, be a part of and just soak up as much as I can from people that are seasoned.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, absolutely. That's the cycle of any artistry, right? And that's beautiful. The apprentice becomes the master, and again, the master becomes the apprentice. So it's always there to keep the cycle alive, to exchange. I will learn from you. You will hopefully learn from us. So it's beautiful that you're joining once again. Thanks for stopping by, definitely. And yeah, also, guys, if you want to network with each other, kind of tell you your handles, where to find you. Maybe it's it's also an interesting opportunity to kind of meet new artists in this way in the future. We're gonna rock this throughout the year, so it's gonna always be an opportunity to be also a meetup as well. Kimberly, welcome to today's masterclass.
Hello, I'm Kimberly and I'm 16 years old, and my dream is to become an actress. Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Fair enough, fair enough. We love that. We love that. Absolutely beautiful message. Suhail. Hopefully is Suhail. I'm hopefully.
Yeah, it's Suhail.
Suhail.
That's cool.
Welcome to the show.
No, you're fine. Hi. So like I'm a beginning actor. I'm a singer and a rapper, so I'm like really into the entertainment industry, and I'm just trying to like. Right? You want me to drop a hot beat?
Right now, right? It's here.
I know, right? So yeah, I just want to like improve my craft, and like I'm taking it more seriously now. So so I'm just taking it more seriously now, and I just want to be able to like, be the best version of myself I can be.
Fantastic. Thanks so much for giving us that energy, for giving us that impulse. Alessandra, you can also call her Cassandra if you want. She is she's the general manager. She's the wife. She's the yang aspect of the COACHMC studio. She's been there from the very first second we're doing this together. So she takes care of any questions or anything that you would like to kind of get in if you have anything. Without any further ado, let's jump in today's session. So
Victoria missing.
Yes. Victoria. Somebody was hiding.
Yeah. Hi, guys, by the way.
Well, now I'm here. Be here. My name is Vicky. I'm from Germany.
Please show. I mean, everybody else was appearing. So if you have a camera, please appear as well, so we can get that beautiful energy as well.
Yes, normally I always joined your masterclasses from my laptop, so I showed myself, but unfortunately I have only my phone today, so it does not work. I'm sorry, but next time I will show myself again.
All right, good enough.
Okay, but I'm super excited to be here again today, and I'm just excited what you're going to say. And what's kind of funny, I just read a book saying that there's no definite master, and
yes,
it was kind of the first thing you said. So
interesting. Synchronicity. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, Yeah, please, please.
So I'm just excited what's going to be the message today.
Right, right. So the thought about this before we actually jump into the nitty-gritty and the technical stuff and kind of, releasing the nuggets, it's all about, maybe if you look at it as a seed or as a key, we first built the key lock. We first built the key lock that we can take everywhere we want and put it everywhere we want. And then we have the dialectical key and we insert it in there, bada boom, and the door will open whenever we want. So therefore, I love to kind of insert first some sort of a metaphorical kind of excursion, right? Let me just go there. Let me just explain what thematically, ambience-wise, sound-wise, vibration-wise, this masterclass is going to be. And then let's jump into the real technical applications, because I believe that there is always a spiritual, a mental, and of course a physical and a tactical and a technical aspect, right? Both kind of need to be welded together. Otherwise, they don't really make sense. If I would just give you the technical stuff that I came up with without kind of sharing what my thought behind that was, or where I'm coming from, or what I did accumulate in terms of resources in order to flesh out that thought, it wouldn't have that type of impact for you guys to really get something out of it. So let me just jump really quick at an observation that I believe is truly worthwhile listening to for a second. Because the audition process happens everywhere. I'm an actor for 35 years now, over 35 years now. And if you really believe that you are always auditioning wherever you are auditioning wherever you are. Does that make sense? Please let me know in the chat box. You get perceived, you get noticed everywhere. If you are part of the game, real recognizes real. People see that there is something about you. If you vibrate the stuff, if you really believe in what you're doing. And I always say this, belief is not something that comes from the heart. Even though it's a beautiful, romantic, picturesque type of image, it's not accurate. It's not true completely. Belief is built out of two things. Belief is built out of courage and image, because the image creates the courage, and the courage gives the image the necessary power to become an action. So when I believe in something, I am thinking about it and I'm feeling about it at the same time. It's not two separate types of poles. It's not a dualistic system, right? Love and fear, they are both part of one current. Even though people portray them as two separate entities, they are part of one energetic stream. And so what I mean by that is when you have belief, when you have confidence, when you know exactly that you're emanating, how you're emanating, when you're emanating, because you get more and more control of it, because you always have the key lock with you. It's not so much about the key. The key is useless if there is not a lock that opens up a door. The key in itself is interesting. You need it as a tool, but you can replicate the key in many ways. It needs the signature, yes, but it is the key lock that actually unlocks the door. So what I mean by that is every time you get into the room, every time you sit down in a Hollywood cafe, every time you are, somewhere in Broadway, in those off theater, off Broadway restaurants, when you know exactly, there are certain areas in New York and Soho and Tribeca, there are creative areas where you would potentially meet people that could potentially change your life. Because it has happened. It has happened also to me, but it has happened to many, many other actors, and the stories are full of it, right? So start with this thought. Today, we will start to assemble that key lock, that door lock, that beautiful ornamented structure that we have with us wherever we go. And whenever we feel, it's vibrating, it's resonating, right? I feel the friction, I feel the electrical tension, because air is charged. Everything is electricity, everything is sound. Everything, the universe is sound. They're telling us that basically every year they're pushing the, the foundation, the Big Bang of the universe, they're pushing it back into time. Because they're realizing that the universe is getting older by the minute, but it's getting older in light years. So in the 60s, the Big Bang was approximately like 1.6, 2.3 billion years old. The big, like and then in the 70s, we kind of already shifted to 4 billion, 5 billion. And now then in the 90s, it was 13 billion years of age, the Big Bang. So the universe itself and its creation. Now we arrived at 23 billion. And already we are hearing scientists claiming maybe the universe is 27 billion light years old. No, 27 billion years old. That is an insane number. 27 billion years. And so already in 60 years, we have, X'd 20, our age, and that is pretty incredible. So if we believe that everything is in vibration, is in frequency, is in sound for over 27 billion years, I still have problems like telling this number because it's a crazy number, right? That means that really sound, appearance, energy, how we emanate does highly kind of affect our surroundings. It's the key lock that we have with us. And part of that we will build today. We will have volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3 of the Audition tips that are more like energy impacting tips. But of course, we will have many technical details and aspects that you can like really insert on a day-by-day basis. When you rehearse this, when you go to your auditions, then it becomes actually a skill. But beforehand, I wanted to give this type of intro to this whole course to understand a bit energetic wise, to get us in the mood, because nowadays everything is transactional. I know, right? Like you jump into a class, they deliver the knowledge, thank you, you check out, you jump into the next one, and that's good. I love that type of effective work, but this is creative work. The effectiveness is important, but you have to anchor it deep down inside of you. You have to find a route for that. So you have it always with you, because you will suffer sometimes, because scripts are heavy, because acting is heavy sometimes. Sometimes auditioning can be stressful. It charges you, yes, and that's beautiful. It's a great energy, but also it drains you. Afterwards, when adrenaline falls back down and, the endorphin is washed out of your system, you realize how tired you are, how much it drained you. Yes, you're full of great experience, but also, the battery is pretty empty afterwards. So you have to deal with all these aspects and understand that it all comes from a mind perspective, but also of course, from the heart perspective. Both work together. They are not separate entities. This is where belief comes from. Okay. That said, it's belief that brings us in the room. It's belief when we open up the door. And today's masterclass, I like to call it the chair, the window, and the door, because most probably all these things will be the only things that for sure you're going to find in every casting director's office, right? There's going to be at least one chair, hopefully not always a window, but at least one door. But those three things, those three islands will be ever existing, every audition that you will have, right? Even if we're talking about a self-tape project, yeah, we shoot a lot of self-tape projects over here. Kati is coming to the show. Thank you so much for joining. We're already rolling, so you can introduce yourself, Kati, she's from Finland. It's a beautiful opportunity for her also to connect. You can introduce yourself through the chat box if you want. Thank you so much for stopping by and taking the time. These things are the most underrated, undervalued, overlooked details of an audition. The text can change. The setup most likely will change. Casting directors will come and go. You will get older, grow, right? Hopefully be a better person in process and fulfill yourself personally and humanly. But these things, they will always be there. There's always going to be a door. There's always going to be a chair. And there's always going to be a window. And this is like the Trinity. This is the triskelion. This is how they used to call it. The old Irish sun symbol is this triskelion. Triquetera in Spanish, trinacria in Sicilian, or triskelion, if you like, in Greek. And yeah, it's similar to a Mercedes-Benz star, which is of course appropriate because it adds a play with logos that are ancient and therefore kind of hit our subconscious, right? Our visceral limbic brain system that actually triggers buying stuff, right? They know exactly what type of symbols to use in order to get us to believe a certain message that they want to imply with the logo that they use for their brands. It's pretty crazy. But these things, the chair, the door, and the window, even if you're having your baddest day, even if everything is going sideways, even if you're feeling like, all right, I'm zoned out today, this is not going well anyways, you have those three things, and you can always turn it around. Remember, you can always turn an audition around, even if there was like a major slip up in the beginning. Don't give up. A casting director, and this is why also this is the volume 1, right? Because it's, of course, to some people, this might be, well, of course, this is fundamental knowledge. People should have that. But first of all, sometimes it's great to come back to these concepts, even if you're a seasoned actor, because you realize, yeah, have I moved away a lot from this? And that can be, you know, seen as a good thing, because that shows you, look how much I've progressed since then and how confident I am now about my toolbox and how to present it. But it also can be something for the new ones, right? For the new guns down here. I believe Kathy's having some problem with her connection. For the people starting out, it's to have a perspective on this thing, like, okay, understand, there is a human being there. He wants to see you excel, right? So he has a sure hit for today's casting. Basically, it's this, right? He wants you to do well, right? He can have whatever type of day, but in the end, the better you are, the better you make his day. So that already is a pretty positive kind of blueprint for a conversation, for an artistic conversation. And you should see it as such. They don't want to see you necessarily to come in and you know, this is exactly what we need for this role. They maybe don't know what they need. Sometimes it's so confusing that, you know, that productions, right, you know, they're just very young and they're immediately hire a casting director to give him some sort of like a Bible or a pitch Bible or something, like a mood board of the movie, and say, look out for these protagonists, right? They sometimes get very vague ideas about what they actually will then later use or need for the movie. So it's really about exploring that conversation, that meeting, in a remarkable way, and using it always as an opportunity to have fun, to really, you know, believe and finally put it into action, what you have exercised at home, what your friends have seen, what you showed them privately, what sometimes maybe you were performing on the street just to see the reaction of the crowd, stuff that I did and stuff that I also recommend my clients. So my clients, they do all sorts of crazy things, right? And in order to understand that performance doesn't really just happen on the stage, and this is like piggyback back to what I was saying in the beginning, we're auditioning everywhere. Like if you work in LA, you realize, or in New York in certain areas, you realize, like every time you go out on the street, you're auditioning. It's a casting. It's somehow you get recognized. And so this is, again, the same concept. You're auditioning everywhere. That means you should also rehearse your audition everywhere. Go out and kind of immerse yourself in different environments, in different topics. Try to rehearse in front of a subway entrance, try to rehearse in a park, try to rehearse somewhere where it's really crowded, or on a rooftop where it's really windy, where you have to fight against the environment, against the ambience. Try to rehearse where it's super, like I was I was always going down to the skate parks. First of all, I was a graffiti writer back in the days. I always loved to observe art and also to tag and stuff like that. But it was, it's very noisy down there. Everybody is shaking cans, spraying, skateboarding. So it's really confusing. If you really can keep your concentration up in those difficult environments, you get, nerves out of steel. Whenever you need to hit the casting director's office, you will feel more relaxed because, compared to such hostile performance environments, the casting director's office is actually a docile place. I mean, they want you to perform well, even if the people sometimes are, casting us. This is what I hear. I was always actually pretty lucky to encounter most of the casting directors I've run into my career, professional career so far, were great people. Sometimes tired, sometimes a bit, in a bad mood, but overall very interested, very curious, great working people, right? And so we respect to them, but also respect to us and to our energy. This is also to say that when you get in through that door, this is where everything starts. And the Romans, the Roman culture, they believed in a god where actually in the old calendar, January wasn't the beginning of the year, but later on when they changed it, it became Janus, and Janus, the Roman god that was the head that looks in two different directions, like the eagle that has two heads and is looking to the east and to the west, right? The equinoctial eagle. The same thing you can say for the Janus head, that Roman god, because he controlled the entrance of every door. That's what, the Romans believed. So every door in the empire of the Roman Empire that was pretty much, occupying the known land back in the days. Everything that was known was belonging to Rome, and that's a rhyme, and that's why it's probably right, but it's true. And they believed that every door in their empire where the sun would actually never set, that every door was controlled by this god, Janus, that somehow there is a liminal god. This is a threshold. When you get in through the room, it's a new energy. That's why we sometimes forget what we wanted to pick up when we leave our room. Sometimes I go out of the studio because I want to pick something up in the other room. And by the time I arrive in the other room, I forgot what I was about to pick up. And what do? I get back into the original room. I walk back into the studio, and I ask myself loudly, what was it that I was, about to pick up? Why did I leave the room in the first place? Has something like this happened to you also, guys? Let me know in the chat box, because I find this very intriguing. As soon as you cross the threshold, you are in a new identity. You're in a new space, and therefore the new energy that you are encountering there is not filled with the old memory, and you forget what you were kind of thinking about a couple of seconds before that. And that's why you need to go back in the room where the thought is still hanging in the air. It's still part of the ether of the cluster that you have above your head. And it's like, now I know, now I remember. And then you exit the room again. So when you enter the room, this is to say that the door is Janus. It's the entrance into a new energy sector. It's the entrance in a new, echo chamber. It's a new sphere that you're entering. And be aware of this fact, because I've heard so many stories, and I observed as casting assistant sometimes as a coach, and also for the people that, I was part of a soap opera. So many times I was assisting, I was one of the protagonists, so I was assisting the casting process quite a lot to kind of choose new side roles that were staying for the show, with the show for a while, a bit longer. And so therefore, sometimes the protagonists were also called to kind of read and to help them with the casting process, to give them an idea of what the show was about, because we were shooting 48 minutes a day, so people they were supposed to know what they were getting themselves what they were getting themselves into, because it was really like a tough schedule, a tough daily shooting schedule. And so I was casting a lot of people too. I was at the audition too, helping the casting director of our studio network to kind of to pick the right ones. And so many times I saw this effect happen, that people came through the door and they were not prepared of finding a new energy spectrum, a new cluster of information. And so they were completely losing all the preparation that they had in the other room, because people forget that every door, and that's why Adam, the word Adam itself, the first man, according to the Bible, and according also to other sacred scriptures, Adamu for the Sumerians, it's a very similar term, right? The South Persians, they also believed that the first man was called Adam, Adamu. And besides meaning the servant, it also means door, because D in the old language, the Sumerian language that later developed to be the Akkadian language that later became the Babylon priests, the Akkadian culture then migrated into the Mediterranean area, and that became the Hebrew language. So they adopted this Adamu and D concept, and D always meant and still means in Hebrew, it means daleth. It's the door. So every human is a door, like we are the doors. And then later on, this term was also adopted by the Gaelic culture, by the Druids, by the Celtic shamans. And Dru means oak tree or oak, but also door. So every Druid is a portal to endless information, exactly like in every casting director's office. Because we know that energy, and I know this sounds a bit now like an energy masterclass and all that, but this is what we do. It's called entertainment business. It's show time. Show means emanating, showing, right? Reaching people's heart. I could give you the standard audition masterclass. Yeah, you have to be prepared. You have to come with a before thought, and of course, we will talk about that structural, granular, bit more scholastic stuff in further master classes. But you know me by now also. I love to take some more unconventional approaches, because I believe that every human has something remarkable and something unique. And I don't necessarily believe in a hyperstructure that teaches people a certain way to act or to perform. Art is something very personal. I respect that. It's because it's an intimate, very personal process to get to a character, to build its world, his beliefs, his values. You really have to identify with this world, with this other character. It costs energy. So therefore, I respect everyone's work on his singular characters, and with my clients as well, with my students, when we work on characters, it's such a I'm really appreciative of this type of work, because people really show me their sides, and I try to give them my very best to kind of flesh out even more remarkable stuff and try to find even more unique edge. Not obsessioned, like not in a way that this is the only thing that makes the performance beautiful. Of course, there are many components to a beautiful performance. It's not just, all right, let's look out for the weird stuff, shall we? No, it's, of course, but where it's remarkable, usually it hurts the most, and it's also the most exciting, and it's also the most problematic. So therefore, trying to aim for that gives you already the necessary toolbox, because it will reinforce your skill set. It will reinforce your practice, because you have to work hard in order to get that remarkable competitive edge, right? Let me know in the chat box if you kind of see what I'm meaning here. So it's the process that teaches us. And this is exactly what we're doing today. This is the first part of a Trinity key lock, if you want to call it so. Volume number 1 is really understanding every room has a door, every room has a chair, every room has a window. And we just discovered that it's not the door, just the word itself means so many things. It roots back to religion, to ancient scripture, to very old belief systems, like these worlds that they believed in. It's all combined with the word, and we are auditioning with the word. We have to understand the word and then apply it. Otherwise, it's just then it's more like a shaman ritualistic type of meeting and gathering, right? The word has to, of course, direct us and fill the room with the images, because that's the content. But how we get into the room, how we, emanate, how we blast people, right, off their seats, this is up to us. So we need also to realize that when we enter this room, we might find different energy levels, right? people might not even look at us, right? They're just doing the thing. Hey, Stephen, nice seeing. Sorry, man, I'm just using you, right? But hey, Stephen, nice seeing you. How are you? Like, you've been here 7 months ago, yeah? All right, so take it away. This is sometimes the energy that you get, right? And so we need to establish our own energy level instead of, just reacting to what we find here. If this is when we come in and we're getting a positive level of energy and there is attention for us, we take that in as well, of course. But we always have to assume worst case scenario. Just assume worst case scenario all the time. So you're not disappointed, you don't care, and you already enter the room ready to perform, because this is how we also call our website, readytoperform.com. By the way, guys, you're more than welcome to join and stop by. We just dropped it on the 15th of January. We're really proud of the new program. We also now included a public speaking program, based on the request that we had. And there's a lot of good stuff coming up this year also through that website, working on the book, working on more, granular resources for you guys. So just stop by Ready to Perform, and also don't forget the Telegram channel, because we'll keep you updated about all of our events when we're networking here in Miami, about everything that we do. So it's really a good tool to stay in very close contact with us. That said, that was the door, right? Kind of realize you have to bring in your own story. You might be surprised about what you find, right? Make that extra effort of not forgetting what you've prepared in the other rooms, right? Keep that stuff with you. Stay focused. If they ask you to do a slate in the beginning and you are more, hey, let me do the slate at the end, because first I want to get this off my back, off my chest. I'm a bit nervous, right? You feel a little bit of stage fever. That's good. If it tickles, keep that and say that, instead of running with the slate that kind of, drains your energy and kind of also switches your focus, because all of a sudden, you want to deliver a very cool slate, and you want to be focused on that, and then kind of switching back to the audition sometimes kind of, it's disturbing. When it feels that way, then by all means just say, hey, can we do the slate by the end? Let me read first so I get this monkey off my back, and then we can have fun with the slate. And most likely the casting director will tell you, right, oh, don't worry, yeah, let's do it like this, so let me see what you got. And stay with that powerful, potent entrance of flooding the room, of being interested, but also keeping your energy and your focus, and being ready to perform, ready to react. Because in the room, sometimes, if time flies by, that's a good thing. If you react, you're in the mood, you're in the zone, and maybe you're not not hitting all the points, but that sometimes staying in the flow rather than kind of delivering your show is more important for them to see as casting directors. Sometimes the director is there, sometimes the assistant director, right? We've seen interested in the smaller roles, and then what he kind of, what he gives, type of notes the director wants to get delivered about the casting that the assistant director just saw. Maybe he sees like, oh, this is a great team player. Like, he stays in the flow, right? He delivers fast. He's an effective worker. These are the notes that he's taking. So that's positive feedback already that you're creating, not necessarily only on the casting director side, but also on the production side, which is equally as important, because when we're talking about higher budgets, they also want to know what type of team player you are. Not only the artistic craft. I'm sorry, am I going too fast, guys? You let me know, right? I'm sometimes, when I'm so passionate about this, thank you guys. When you're passionate about this, it's just like sometimes I kinda, I run with it, right? I lean into it. I shouldn't, right? So it should be enjoyable. But again, also we have a tight schedule, so I think it's both in a way. But what I want to say with this is, don't judge, of course. But you're seeing what you're perceiving in the room. If they are like, don't judge, right? Okay, they don't seem interested. I will make them being interested. Don't worry. I will deliver something that in a couple of seconds they will, leave the pen and look at me. It's like, all right, okay. They will recognize, okay, somebody is there that really loves to kind of, deliver a show. Let's see what he's got, right? What she's got. And so, thank you, Stephen. No, but this is also the energy that we need, right? like I said, sometimes the casting director is not even paying that much attention to what you're doing, but maybe there is a production member there, or maybe somebody who's like a co-protagonist, somebody from the cast who already casted, who's like, you know, checking you out as well. So it's infecting all of these people, not only the casting director, right? It's affecting all these people, infecting them and kind of polluting their brain and their heart, right? Because again, it's the thought, but it's also the feeling. Connected, boom. Then we have the explosive mixture and really radiating that out, right? Controlling the stuff. How to control your nerves while you're doing that. If you would ask me for a practice, I would say listen to a lot of classical music, guys. Classical music just in so many ways helped me, affected me, gave me ideas, but also lowered my blood circulation. I'm a Sicilian. I'm a heated person, right? I have a beautiful wife, and she's from Naples. If you listen to us while we're talking, you might think these people are arguing all the time. They're fighting all over the place. At Trader Joe's, sometimes to look at us, we're just talking about tomatoes, right? And it seems like we're fighting to death. It's like no. This quality is, and this is like very passionate stuff. So to me, I feel like when I have to get into the room, I have so much over energy that I need to, I need to, boil it down a little bit. And classical music helps me a lot to focus and also to lower my pressure and to come clean with me and to have like good energetic thoughts and really getting into the zone, right? Into that minimum of 75, 80% of performance level. Because I always say this, it's not about hitting the peak right away as soon as you come through the door, right? It's not Fred Astaire type of entertainment anymore. It's just come in because, Bruce Lee talks about this concept also in his book. Shifu Lee talks about this extensively. Only a fool barks the whole time. And, this is a fool's idea of glory is to bark all the time. The true wise men, and artists are wise men, because even Aristotle, right, the philosopher, who's not always a fan of theater, right? Even he had to acknowledge that actors are the most wise because they introduce experience into action. They introduce knowledge into action, and therefore it becomes experience. So therefore they're the really wise men because they have to interpret. So even Aristotle had, was speaking of actors in high regards because they really enact the ritualistic drama. Back in the days, you have to imagine it was a ritualistic drama. It was, the Greeks and later on the Romans and also the Syrians before that, they believed that theater was, showing people what the stars were actually telling them. So it's all personified and physicalized, but it's actually celestial concepts. And this is exactly what we're doing. In the room, it's all about those primordial concepts. It's love and it's fear. Right? We are afraid of the gods and we love the gods, right? We're afraid of them, of their punishment, of their tyranny, of their bad mood. And then we also love the gods because they inspire us, they give us force, and they give us creativity and ideas. And this is what we want to see. In the audition room, we want to see creativity. We want to see people having fun. We want to see people having a good mood, being positive about what they do. I want to work with someone like that. Of course, everyone has its own facets of showing that. I don't mean to beat up the place, right, and put on a great show. Hey, right, coming in there, like I said, it's not about that. But the sovereign master, like I said, from Shifu Lee's quote is, you control your force. You don't have to show off your force. You control your force, and by controlling your force and of course using it effectively to kind of hitting those notes that you want to hit, those emotional notes, those physical notes, those ideas that you had, how you want to, perform something, certain gestures, all these things should be there, but you control them. By that, you show way more force than beating up the place. I understand sometimes when you are a newbie, and I was the same thing when I started auditioning. Even though I was, trying to make it as clever as possible, sometimes I was trying to wing it, and not in terms that I was memorizing everything. I don't mean to wing it in terms of I wasn't prepared. I was fully prepared, but then the stage fever would overcome me. I was so nervous. Because I knew potentially I could do this and really, book the role. But then there was so many thoughts behind that, so many uncertainties. And I grew up in an environment that wasn't artistic at all, that I wasn't surrounded by actors or creatives. My mom believed in me, and because she saw me doing well, and she, you know, she was part of the audience and everybody else was clapping. So she's like, all right, he's probably good, right? So, but she couldn't really teach me anything. And so I had to kind of, you know, teach all these principles to myself by observing, especially when I was playing theater as a kid, right? Later on, of course, I went to drama school, but that was like way down the road. For the majority of my, you know, upbringing, I was self-taught. Drama school just gave me that last polish, that very necessary last polish, right? I won't underestimate the value of drama school. And if you guys want to go to drama school, by all means do it. It's great. It's great. It's of course it will give you a lot. It takes a lot of time, but it's also a great place to show because your faculties need to be shown, and you can't always do this at home. So having a collective, and also have to compete with a collective, it's a great way. It's a great way to forge that spirit, that character. So by all means, if you're in the town, you can afford it, or you think about it, or somehow you want to make it happen, by all means, yeah, I highly encourage you to go to drama school. Otherwise, come to the COACHMC, right? Just contact me and let's work together on a monologue, on a self-tape, on a show reel, whatever you got in mind. Let's make it remarkable. So besides the door, we have the chair. There's always going to be a chair. And I love the chair. The chair is my universe. It should be also your universe when you're auditioning, because the chair is always going to be there. And no matter how you feel, what you do, this thing can be turned into anything, even if it's just a flat chair, right? You can use it as a window. You can look out, right? You can lean against it, right? And you can dream, right? It can be turned into your power, into your, you know, this is the point of power. This is my point of force, right? Hopefully the audio kind of is not scratching too much, right? And so the chair becomes an ally for you. Or if you have an audition where you have to massage someone in the scene, right? The chair is the partner that you're massaging while you're acting and while you're reading with the assistant of the casting director. Is that good, honey? Right? This is a test. So let me know. So, and now you're acting and you're massaging at the same time. You can turn the chair into everything. It could be a gondola, right? Ta-da, da, ta-da. It could be a cab, right? Da, ta-da. You could drive. It could be a balcony, right? The chair is the universe. Why am I saying this? Why am I making myself so ridiculous in front of you guys? First of all, it should be fun. And second of all, you should have fun too. And third, and most importantly, when you start to get crazy and creative, you don't think about nervosity. You don't think about stage fever. You don't think about all these unsubstantial things that are just illusions of your brain. They're just background noise. They don't make any sense. It's just your self-sabotage system, whatever you got inside there. Forget about that and turn, you know, a chair into a gondola, into a cab, because by doing that, your brain will be focused, will have fun. Your reptilian center, the oldest stem of your brain, will finally be intrigued about what you're creating there and will shift the focus. There is no way of destroying fear. There is no way of destroying death or of destroying hate. These are concepts that will always be there. But what you can do is shift your focus. It's just a trade-off, nothing else. You just think about something else. You just, boom, erase it from the back of your head and it's gone. This is how I taught myself also to quit smoking. I was a heavy smoker. Can you imagine? Like, it's so, like, I'm thinking back of myself as like, who was that guy? Why was I smoking in the first place? It didn't make any sense. And nonetheless, I was a heavy smoker. Then at a certain point, I said to myself, like, I shift my focus. I can't destroy that desire of smoking, but I can shift my focus. I can think about other stuff. And so creativity, the chair in the room, destroys the anxiety, destroys the uncertainty by just shifting the focus. And it's all of a sudden something completely different that you're doing, right? And so the chair is your ally. See it as a point of force, a point of strength. If you need some encouragement. If you feel like, oh, this is your first audition, or maybe this is an important audition, or maybe for some strange reason, and sometimes there is no reason. Sometimes, you know, we're shooting through space in a ridiculous, like within a ridiculous velocity. So we get hit with all types of invisible energy and matter. Sometimes we can't even explain why we're in a good and a bad mood. It is what it is, right? And so therefore it can happen that sometimes we lose control for a while for some strange reason. Even if we are seasoned, well prepared, went to bed early, these things will make sure that there's a there's a high percentage of a chance that you will do well, that you will perform great, right? Kind of making sure that there is some sort of a schedule. Like this would be definitely a basic tip for the beginners, right? Make sure that you kind of implement some sort of a schedule, especially when you're starting off. Like what I was doing is Monday was my Tai Chi day, right? Monday, I would do all sorts of Tai Chi at drama school. I was like just thinking about these concepts and reading about these concepts. That day was completely dedicated to that motif. On Tuesday, I would go into dance, right? And would do a bit more choreography at school. And I would think about, you know, tap dancers and these great artists, maybe look at videos and, you know, read into some resources, how they perform and kind of, you know, training that. And the whole day is dedicated to that. On Wednesday, I have drama day. I'm reading, I'm rehearsing, I'm going into my monologues, right? And the whole day is dedicated to that. And what I do is during those days, I think in funky chunks, in funky, funny chunks, to be honest, right? I don't have like a preset schedule. I say, okay, in the morning, I do 90 minutes. And then I take a major break and then I come back and then it's like, okay, let's do another 40 minutes. And then I take 5 minutes breaks, 10-minute breaks. I get a coffee, some almonds, come back another hour or so. I take those funky breaks, those funny breaks in between. So my brain always stays active because as soon as I go into repetition mode, my brain kind of slows down because it feels tired, right? And so working on auditions that are super important for you guys, or when you feel like you have major stage fever, don't see it again as some sort of a school assignment or have to like some sort of study case, right? Like be creative already about how you memorize the text, how you rehearse, how your audition prep goes into play, because that will stratify the text deeper and will, you know, lead your brain to be always attentive, right? Your brain needs always to focus. Therefore, you create more neural connections. Therefore, the whole process makes you smarter. It actually makes you smarter. Technically, you will gain more IQ out of this, but it means also that you have more resources like implied around one major subject, this audition, this text, this character. So your brain kind of occupies more storage and kind of, you know, you think about more details. And this will result in a way more stratified performance. You can tell when somebody in the room is really performing in a way. It doesn't matter what type of technique we're talking about, right? Whether that's like he's coming from Uta Hagen or Stella Adler or Strasberg or something more modern like Chabak or Susan Betts and stuff like that. It doesn't matter what the technique is. You kind of feel that that person has worked on the material in a different way. You perceive that besides the technique. And that makes it interesting to watch. Is like, what's going on here? That person is making things that like, let's say 70%, 75, 80%, usually it's between that percent of the masses doing. Like the grand mass of people, they're always going for the path of least resistance. They don't see the chair as a gondola. They don't perceive this to be some sort of a different outlet to another universe that could potentially give you a lot of ideas and shift your focus away from the uncertainty that the casting process sometimes can kind of create inside of yourself. And that could solidify into nervosity, and that will crystallize in you making major mistakes. And we want to prevent that chain of failure. We want to go into the chain of performance. This is why the program is also called Ready to Perform, right? You're ready to do this. And so you're ready to turn this into something different. And people will pay attention to what you do when you transform. Believe me, people love transforming. because it tells the brain that something is evolving, that there is a story, that there's a narration. When things are transforming, there are thoughts. And we, as the audience, we start thinking about, what is this character all about, right? And when you start asking questions, like when you start asking questions to yourself about what something that you see, then you know that what you see is compelling. Yeah, fun, funky breaks. Let's have some funky fun breaks. Sometimes you need that. You need funny, funky breaks or fun, funky breaks, right? You need them because your brain wakes up. And another thing, everything that I'm sharing today, like the door, the chair, Janos, these concepts of this, seminal gods, of the liminal gods, of the thresholds of energy, and turning things with creativity into something else, transforming, being really a wizard, a magician, a witch, right? Having that potency, that equilibrium also, because you need an equilibrium for this. That's why I say you need a mental aspect, but you also need like a heart aspect to this, right? You need a feeling attached to this. And when you are not making those fun, funky breaks, when you're not changing the pace sometimes, and you're taking yourself out of the picture and reducing the ego and focusing on creativity, what happens is you are taking it too seriously. And then in the room, and believe me, guys, I've seen this also with master actors, taking the stuff personally that they get as an advice, as an adjustment, as a little note from the casting director, because maybe he's not even looking up, and okay, somebody already finds that a bit offensive, and then he just tells you, you know what, he just looks at the screen. Usually he doesn't really look at you, right? And so sometimes people take that a little bit personal, and then he just goes like, you know what, just give it to me just a bit sadder. I feel like it's a bit too happy, right? Just deliver it a bit sadder, right? And then he goes back to his, to his notes. And so therefore, I've seen this happening. This is pretty much how it went down. And then this very other famous actor, he kind of flipped, right? He took it personal. He took it too serious because he wasn't taking those breaks. He wasn't pulling himself out a little, just for a second, because all this, it's there to make you feel comfortable and positive about this. It's not about getting too serious and stiff about this, right? Knowledge is there so it can be applied to what you feel comfortable, to your convenience. There is no safe way to travel. It's always a very personal travel. It's every time it's a personal quest when we're auditioning. And this is good, right? And it's beautiful that it is that way, because it's always, potentially there's a lot of potential in an audition, potentially. Excuse me for this play on words, but it's true. Potentially every audition can be transformed into something like, it could be a game changer, a career changer, a breakthrough moment for you. You never know. So don't take it personal. Don't be so serious about it. Take it with, a pinch of salt, insert your humor. This is what I'm trying to say in all of this, right? Insert your humor. It's okay to be slightly crazy and irrational and creative, but it's also okay to get feedback. And that feedback sometimes just tells you, hey, do it slightly differently, please, right? Show me another aspect of this. Sometimes the casting director is just sick of what he's seen so far, because it's always the same, right? Because sometimes a scene is so obvious, there are just so many ways on how to play the scene that, of course, actors most likely will all do the same. And this is also what we look at the COACHMC studio. We always try to do something different, because different is better than better. It truly is. This is out of marketing. Different is better than better. Like Jim Carrey is better than better. He doesn't compete in any category. He is his own category. Jackie Chan is his own category. Ryan Reynolds, his own category. Like there, when you have that level of confidence and of craftsmanship, and when you put so much labor in honing your skills, like these people that I'm just mentioning, like Jerry Lewis, Peter Sellers, Fred Astaire, right? Denzel Washington. I mean, when you deal with all these actors that Eddie Murphy, they have their own category. They stand for something, like for their own product. And this is what I encourage you to do, to be humorous about that and to create your own product, right? To not taking it personal. There is somebody who has his own agenda and he's been seeing 22 auditions so far that everybody's doing the same thing. And he just tells you, hey, do it slightly differently, please. I want to give you a shot of reinterpreting the scene because I can't stand to watch it anymore, right? I'm about to freak out. So give me something else here. And just deliver something else. Of course, we are court jesters sometimes, and that's okay. It's okay. I mean, we are highly paid clowns sometimes. Is that like an evil thing? We make kids laugh. We make money. We make our own kids laugh, or we put it into our own endeavors. We there for our communities. We're sharing we're doing good stuff with all this. So, as long as it's not humiliating, of course. As long as the boundaries are clear and everybody speaks in decency, and this is just, in the context of an audition, just an attempt of seeing something different, by all means, this is what we do as actors. Of course, I deliver something. What is it that you like me to see? No problem. Like I said, sometimes you don't know. Maybe he's getting a note, slipped in a memo. I like this guy. I like this girl. Let her do something different, because maybe they're thinking of a different role. Maybe they're not interested in this small part anymore. They see you for something way bigger. And therefore they know exactly the storyline, the plot line of that bigger protagonist, of that bigger role. It's going to have more sad moments. So they want to see sad moments now from you, even though the audition was like a funny one, because they're already like planning you to put you in a different role. So maybe that's a good thing and not a bad thing to take, personal, where you kind of, get, infestated by it. Yes, book the room. I totally agree. Yeah, book the energy, right? What is the third thing? The third thing is it's the window. And here, this is a bit more of an advanced tip, but not really if you think about it. And definitely also in the second one, we will talk about windows in the text, right? More specifically, because sometimes there's a character who's looking out a window and saying something. And I see many, even like Hollywood actors, looking out the window and seeing nothing, but saying something without seeing something is boring, right? We always want to see something when we say something, when we're looking out a window. And that doesn't happen too often in Hollywood, or even in good movie making. And sometimes you see it in indie movies. You see that way more, because, of course, you always have to kind of, it's always about equilibrium, like I said, right? The image gets combined with a feeling, and then we look. Like I said, I need classical music to kind of tune down a little bit. So I'm really psyched and focused and poised, and I know what I want to deliver. Some of you guys are a bit cooler, about a bit more chill than me, and less pressurized by the volcano, the Etna volcano that I was born on. And so therefore, maybe you need music that psychs you in, right? That shifts your mood up, kind of Motown funk, something from the 70s, some Michael Jackson, something that moves you, right? And then do that, right? If you need to get to that temperature, to that engine temperature where you produce at least 75% of high quality output, this is like the minimum, quality level that we want to reach. Actually, I would push this up. I would push this bar up to 80%. We at least want to deliver 80%, guys. Come on. We are not the mass. We are not average. We are not common. We are not formless. We have shape. We have a silhouette. We have an idea. We cast a shadow. We want to produce something. So at least 80% is what we deem to us, with us, not for the casting director, not for this goofy ass producer, not for all these people that are, throwing money. Now, for us, for our decency, for our belief in our craftsmanship, in our skills, in our, on our road to mastery, not perfection, to mastery, where we want to, this is where we travel down. So for us, it's necessary to at least produce 80%, to be there, and show them, hey, this is where I'm coming from, bro. I want to be started something, got to be started something. You want to be, I saw him live. I saw Michael Jackson live, 80,000 people with me. The best thing that ever happened to me besides meeting my wife. Yeah. That's where I would put it. It still is one of the best memories of my life. And I had it when I was 13 years old. Dressed like Chris Cross, mind you. I had a Washington Redskins t-shirt, Chris Cross, because Chris Cross was also heating up the crowd that day. And what like Jump was, you know, it was not today. Like Jump was playing the whole year. It was an incredible song. And I also, my jeans were crossed out. I had a bandana, red bandana, and a cannabis ring. I remember that like yesterday. Best concert of my life. Best concert of my life. It was just amazing. Michael Jackson is the ultimate performer to me. Like I look at him as like I don't know what he was, what he is, if still out there. I don't know if he lives, he's really dead. I don't know. It's just sad. I feel like how he treated himself and how we also admitted to treat him. I don't know if he really was that type of person people believe that he was, but I don't really see that happening there. I don't know. I can judge people, but I'm just really speechless about, you know, certain performers. Also Prince. Come on, Prince. But also the performers from the black and white, from the golden age, from the initial golden age of Hollywood. Great performers. Buster Keaton, the Stooges, Charlie Chaplin. Charlie Chaplin, guys. Oh, fantastic stuff. Sorry. It's just, yeah, it's beautiful. Art is beautiful. The passion of it is beautiful. It's consuming, but also beautiful. I'm not sitting here and saying this is all easy. It's not consuming. It's not taking away some thought, but it gives you so much more in exchange. You finally build your cathedral of success. It's a cathedral you have to build, right? This is your temple. Right? Every scripture says that. Not only the Bible, you can go into every holy scripture. This is your temple. So you're building your cathedral, building your success. It has to be symmetric. It has to be founded in wisdom and understanding and practice and passion. And it has to be also decorated, ornamented, right? Beautiful little twists and turns and curls and loops and this, everything. You bring this with you. This is the first part of the Keylog that we're presenting today, that believe that every room has that. You can do it in any room. You have a door, you know exactly what you're doing. You enter that energy field, you start emanating, connecting, start perceiving what's going on, be confident about that. If they're saying no to you because they're distracted thinking about something else, you go on with your program with your game plan. Of course, you stay on high alert, you adapt because maybe there is something coming, there is an impulse. Of course, you implement that, you make it nice, you react to that, you spice up your program. If something unexpected is happening, always implement it. Never exit the train, always stay on the train till the last station arrives, till the last stop, right? Show them consistency. And you use the chair, you use your imagination, yeah, you shift your focus to the beautiful stuff that you can create. And through the window, you see. But what do you see? Well, the thing is, of course, there is a lot of stuff that you can prepare like beforehand in your audition prep. But what if nervosity takes over you? And what if you don't want to waste too much energy by looking into something and then you can't produce it and then you start getting nervous all of a sudden and right? You don't want to mess this up. You want to stay in that zone. The window is also a metaphorical concept for always kind of having this thing in mind that you can always see somewhere else. Because I see this happening, and what I mean by that, I will explain this technically, what I mean by that, because I see this in a lot of auditions. When people come in, right, they have an idea that this is the room that they have to play in, right? Yeah, they see maybe a crowd they're talking to, but this is pretty much the room. But what I mean with the window is that what do you see out of that window is completely different to what you see in the room, right? And sometimes to have that shift in your eyes, your story changes as well. And if the story behind your eyes changes because you're seeing now something different that informs your body, now your performance changes. And that brings new developments to the scene. Something they were also not expecting, something maybe you weren't expecting. But remember this, if you surprise yourself most likely you will surprise others, even if they're not attentively looking at you, but they will perceive the shift in the energetic field. They will perceive, oh, something else was done. This is out of the sound alone will tell them, because they are pros. They are seeing you without even looking at you. They're really good. And so this is not a lack of, well, if you want to call it so, sometimes it's a lack of respect, but sometimes it's just they're just tired and they want to focus their senses on really like filtering through what you're saying, filtering if the energy kind of produces images in their head, and therefore if it's intriguing or not. Because as soon as it starts getting intriguing and interesting about what you're delivering, believe me, the casting director will look up, because he feels it. He hears it. There is a shift. I was like, oh, okay. Now it's becoming truthful. So hit me hard, baby. Right. And then he gives you a shot for a couple of seconds of unfiltered attention. And then if you're delivering in those 15, 30 seconds, he will stick with you. Otherwise, he will go back to his notes. Right? He will remember still that he kind of looked up once, but then you kind of still didn't catch his attention completely. But that already is good. If you catch his attention and he keeps, looking at you, and he keeps, being involved in what you do, don't make the mistake to lean too much into it. This is what I was, and I'm still probably doing too much, right? Leaning too much into it. Like deliver, control it. Now you have his attention. Beautiful. Now distribute it into the room, right? Treat him, leave him on the side. Make him, you become the prey. Make him hunt for you. Don't over deliver. Don't try to cater everything to him, right? Show that you have some self-respect here, right? Hey, baby, carrying him around the room a little bit, and see stuff out of the window. Because here's the magic about this. I've worked in the independent Shakespeare company in Germany for a long time, and it was an incredible experience. And I've worked with Rosie Riggs, an incredible director, and she was from Hong Kong, and she worked with Peter Zadek, who was one of the great inventors of, let's say, German-speaking theater, like a star in Europe, like a big theater thinker and director, a great guy, very controversial, but very interesting. And so he was really innovating theater back in the days. And Rosie Riggs was his right arm, his assistant, his muse, pretty much everything. People also, I won't go into any further details. That wouldn't be fair. But this is also not the point. The point is that Rosie, being this great muse also of mine, and being such a great director and such a wonderful human being, and so funny, so incredibly funny, but such a delicate, like UK fun, right? Dark humor, but with a delicate touch. Like she was old school Hong Kong, raised in the military, incredible lady, really incredible lady, very inspiring, very interesting. And she was talking about this window concept. She didn't really formulate it as granular now as me, as sharp as me, because this is something that I kind of, developed for myself. But she was the first to kind of tip me off into that direction, to kind of, because she believed in my eyes, she believed in what I was seeing. And it's like, don't care about the audience that much. Like, care about what you see. It's like, what do you mean by that? It's like, she said, you care a lot about the audience, and that is okay. You control the audience, whatever. But of course, it's for them, but they want to also see you seeing stuff for yourself, and not just for them. So they love to look at you while you are looking at something else. And then they love to ask themselves. She was really Hitchcock and old school. And I love that about her, because she's right. Because Hitchcock is right. Because it's about to ask yourself as the audience what the character is thinking. That is the magic of movie making, but also of stage play. In stage play, it's more of a different impact. In movie making, you can extend that moment a bit more with editing, and of course, like the whole arbitrage of the visual, display and how it's moved in order to let you have a cinematic experience. Kind of has infinite ways, right, of kind of letting the audience, informing the audience what the character sees, what the protagonist really perceives and sees in that moment. but it's always the same, whether you extend it or it's that short moment on stage. It needs to be truthful. You need to see something so the audience looks at you, looks at your face, and tries to figure out what you're seeing right now, because that's fascinating. If we observe other people sometimes, and you should do that, you should be like scandalous voyeurs, right? I'm not encouraging you to commit any crimes, but guys, Brando, he lived in Central Park for a couple of days before entering Strasbourg, right? It's like he lived there like a bum, like a homeless. Paul Auster did the same thing in Brooklyn. He was just wandering around almost like a homeless, and then he wrote about it. And there is something about leaving everything and going into that spectral field and that imaginary world of being the character. There's something about that transformation that needs you to kind of strip away all the benefits and the natural circumstances of your regular life. Because when you are acting, you're looking out for conflicts. As a human being, when you're functioning in the real world, you try to avoid the conflict. That makes the acting endeavor such a spicy endeavor. The acting endeavor is therefore an endeavor of looking out for the conflict and for the competition and for the clashes of belief systems and interests, not for getting along, being accommodating and always welcoming and saying things that you don't actually think just to get an agreement with a person that you don't actually like. But nonetheless, you cherish that opinion of that person more than your own about yourself. And this is a toxic concept. And actors are, gifted human beings in terms of they have this gift that belongs to their very job description, that they need to open up the box and get rid of that idea first in order to be compelling later. Because otherwise we're not. Otherwise we will be mediocre performers. I'm sorry to say. And I'm here to destroy boredom, to destroy mediocrity with you guys, with the creative community. Through all of our videos, through all the things that we say, you can feel the energy. You can feel that we believe in talents. We believe in creation. We believe in turning chairs into gondolas and understanding that now we're dealing with the two aspects of the God, right? The past is past, and I have to bring it into today. So it will come into fruition into the future. The past, the present, the future. It's 3 acts. It's always the number 3. It's this not ending concept. So coming back again to what you see, the window is the portal into this other imaginary world. The window it was so many times that the window kind of saved my audition, literally. Because all of a sudden, and I was looking out, and all of out of the window, I can get the information, the impulse, a hunch that kind of pushes me into a different direction. I was like, okay, let's change this, right? And all of a sudden, I delivered the last part, or the second part of the audition. The final part of the audition was through that I kind of flipped a lot of moments, and the last thing they remembered when I finished was a strong piece or a strong section of mine and not a weak section of mine. Because you can have weak sections, of course. When you deliver a 3-minute scene, during your audition, maybe the section is a bit. We at the COACHMC studio, we try to make it, woof, right? One airstream, beautiful 80% level type of performance. But yeah, you will have some weaker sections sometimes, some little oscillations. Don't worry about them. Don't focus on something that you already delivered that is bad, instead of focusing hardcore on what you have before you and making the most out of that and flipping the status quo. There's always time to flip, even if it's just the last couple of seconds where you just delivered an impressive scream or just an incredible transformation, or all of a sudden you started to cry and going into this big scene, whatever it is, right? I've seen this also being like a strategy, like being applied by actresses especially, and it works. They book roles where I feel like overall the audition was not as strong as another audition that we saw that day, but still that momentum of high oscillation where all of a sudden they kind of exploded and erupted into this whatever that they presented there was so interesting and so compelling that it kind of compensated and kind of washed out, right? It kind of, you know, smudged over the weaker sections so much that you would only remember that. And that was way more impressive than, let's say, like a very good standard audition that was kind of shown beforehand. So it's really crazy sometimes how these currents and these different little moments can influence the judgment of the casting director, whether or not to get you for the callback or get you in for the chemistry reading. And this is pretty much it, guys. This is pretty much it. It's the door, that beautiful entrance into the new world, and keeping the old energy with you, still the thoughts, but also, you know, reacting to what you see now. It's the chair and the transformation that happens here, and the things that you get as an input out of the window. And what people would love to see sometimes is to look at the protagonist while he's not necessarily always looking back at them, and so they can, you know, kind of spot, kind of spot what's going on, and kind of getting interested in what the character is thinking right now, because that kind of makes them more involved with the script, with the story, and they're forgetting that this is a scene and now it becomes reality. And this is where the magic of movie making actually happens. And so therefore I'm really grateful, guys, that you joined today to this masterclass. The next one is going to be volume 2. I think it's it's going to be the 17th of February. Same time, Eastern Standard Time. It's 12 p.m. noon. Make sure to register for that as well. Come over to the next Open Doodle class. We're going to have Jay the Gooch from Diabolical Souls, who's going to present his artwork, his comic artwork. We're going to talk about, you know, comic books and entertainment. And we have, of course, always our free trial session. If you want to just, you know, kind of finding out if we would potentially be a good match, then join me for a free trial session. Book me for 30 minutes without any strings attached, no cost, anything, just to find out, like, if we would be a great match. Tell me about what you want to do. Maybe I can give you an idea. Maybe we can build something, and then, like, jumping into the course, or jumping into like a mini course about certain topics. If you're already a seasoned actor and you say, hey, I want to kind of revisit my audition game, I want to revisit my character building game, I want to revisit my own narrative maybe as an artist as well. And so therefore the mini course is beautiful. 5 sessions, high concentration, high volume, working on becoming better, improving, and kind of, you know, creating a new world, a new array, a new outlet for yourself. Thank you so much, guys. Now, if you got any further questions, let's have a quick Q&A round. And we're going to start counterclockwise with Suhail if he wants to ask anything, man.
I have 2 questions. So
Sure.
like the February 17th class, how do you sign up? Is that one free? How do you sign up for that one?
Yes, we have the link in the description. It's on Eventbrite as well. You can find it also through my Instagram handles, where I have the link tree, where you can find all the updated links and you can register for free right there.
Cool. And then my actual question is, like, you were kind of talking about like the energy and how to maintain it. I guess, how do you, like, throughout your life, the audition as well, but throughout your life, how do you maintain positive energy when there's like outside events, like, oh, like I got into a car accident, or oh, I had a flat tire, or whatever it might be? Like, when negative events happen to you, how do you maintain that positive energy? Thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you so much for the question. I think if everything that happens to you, even a flat tire, gets you reverse engineer that, and you make like a little event out of it. Oh, cool! What can I learn from fixing this flat tire? Like, how can I see this as a little mission to kind of, you know, hone my skills there? And I make out of everything. Like, there was this book once. It was in the 80s, written by this German philosopher, and also like he also comes from the medical background, and he was writing about the fact that sickness sometimes is a chance to get better in life, right? Because you focus hardcore on one specific task to eradicate that sickness out of your body, and maybe it's the diet that you change, your lifestyle that you change, everything around. All of a sudden you become a better human because you fought a sickness. So everything is a challenge in itself, if that makes sense. So even negative events, quote unquote, are just events. There is no good press. There is no bad press. It's press. There are just events. And it's our creativity how we deal with these events. Kimberly, go ahead.
I have no question, but I wanted to thank you because this masterclass today was really great.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for stopping by and yeah, being part of the creative community today. And thanks so much for that comment. Make sure to spread the word and yeah, and join us also for the next one. Stephanie, you got any questions, Stephanie? Yeah.
I don't have a question either, but no question. Just again, appreciate being part of the class, and I'm looking forward to the one in February. But no question, it was great.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thanks so much for stopping by. And yeah, looking forward to see you on the next masterclass for sure. Victoria?
My question would it be a good idea to not only look and see through the window, but also imagine yourself seeing a whole scene while you're acting and while you're watching through the window? So like yourself watching something, a real scene, while you're acting and while they're watching what you're watching, or is this too much?
That's an excellent question. No, actually, like I would phrase it in two ways. First of all, it's my bad. I didn't specify or exemplify what I mean by like exactly looking out the window. Like what I mean, I said you see a different world out there. So of course it implies that you imagine what you see. The more specific you make it, right, the more it informs your physicality and your mental status, of course, and therefore the more interesting it also becomes for the audience. So the more specific it is, the more granular you can imagine something that you see outside the window, because your brain can't tell the difference if the window is really there or not, or if it's just, you know, that self-indoctrinated thought. It's really for your brain, it doesn't matter. There is no difference for your brain. And therefore, yes, make it specific, and also look out to not lose yourself in that other world, right? Because we want you here. We want you to perform here. It's just a way of getting an impulse. The window is more like I would say it's like a flip the switch type of tool. It's more like a catalyst, right? It's not something that you would use like a chair for a longer or for a more extended period of time. The chair can be really your companion throughout the audition. The window is like more like an impulse giver, like a catalyst that you can use to kind of flip the switch and think in different terms and light up some different ideas. But definitely, yeah, make like this is an excellent point that you were saying. It's like, yeah, make it specific, see something, think about the character, like in what situation he is, what is it that he could see out of the window, even if that's like something crazy. Like sometimes I will tell you from personal experience, sometimes I imagine elephants flying by, right? There's just elephants flying by. There's an elephant that is right now flying by and he looks pretty ridiculous. And so this is what happens. This is my physical reaction. This is how I was like mimicry informed by that visual, right? By that flying elephant.
So there can also be things that have nothing to do with the...
Oh, absolutely. Yes, famously, Marlon Brando once was asked when he, I think it was at the receiving party for the Oscars for Freshman, a movie with Matthew Broderick, and he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Role, and they asked him what he was thinking, and he said, cutting parsley. So yeah, it could be that sometimes. And that's totally okay. I love this idea that art is also silly, and it's not always so serious, coming back to what I was saying.
Okay. Thank you so much also for the fantastic masterclass and all the new inputs.
Thank you so much. Always welcome. Yes, Steven, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. First off, what is that picture that was just put into the chat? Open class doodles. Okay, that's
yeah. Thank you.
This was great. I love your perspective. I love the door, the chair, the window. That's amazing. My question would be, how does that translate for a self-tape?
Very good. That's an excellent question. And this is actually very funny because I have some clients and sometimes we work for like entire nights on a self-tape. I'm on the computer, the client somewhere else. And for very important projects. But even if it's not a very important project, but sometimes it's just important to the client to really nail the self-tape. And sometimes we work all through the night, like literally. And so about the door in the self-tape, this is one of, I wouldn't say it's a mistake. It's something that happens with the brain. It's your room, right? It's your place. It's your apartment. It's your energy. You know this place. But when we're playing the scene, we're not always in the character's place where we would, this is not the character's home, not necessarily all the time. And we are in a different place. And so therefore, we work a lot on this concept. Is like, wait, like you're coming from a door, right? You're coming through a door here. Like, what is this place? Perceive this environment a little more. Just really build this thing up. Is it a casino? Is it a restaurant? Is it noisy? Is it a discotheque? We work hardcore, especially when the self-tape is kind of running longer. We need new impulses, not to slow down and become boring. So these things could, you know, spice up or fresh up the delivery. But they're also very important in the first place when you're starting this thing. Like, this character is coming through the door. Which door? How does this door look? What is this room like? Like, what is the character perceiving here? It spices up enormously what you see. It kind of informs your physicality a bit more. You're a bit more alert. You're a bit more focused when you're delivering the lines then.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Of course, sir. Thanks so much. Thanks so much. Kati.
Yeah, sorry that I was late, but I really enjoyed the class. Thank you so much. And I will rewatch the part that I missed when it comes out, when it's published. Yeah, I have a question that is a topic I discussed a lot with my actors friends, and we also asked our agents and managers about it.
Sure.
And we got very different answers.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, if I would really mess up an audition, and I noticed this just went wrong and I couldn't show what I wanted to show,
Mm-hmm.
can I dare to ask the casting director if I can repeat it or start over?
So we're not talking about the self-tape. You're in the room.
Yes.
I wouldn't ask. I would just do it. The moment you ask, the moment you ask, you're handing over accountability to someone else about your performance.
Mm-hmm.
The moment you ask, you're giving someone else legitimacy over your actions. The moment you ask, you are in beta and not an alpha anymore. So stay alpha, stay energy, just do it right away and make sure that there is not even the tiniest window of an energetic pause where they could kind of say, all right, thanks so much, right? Don't leave that crack open, because usually we say the crack is for the devil. If you leave space open, the devil will insert himself. So don't leave space. Immediately restart.
Cool. Okay.
Right? I know it's hard, but this is like the best strategy. Attack is sometimes the best defense. All right?
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for stopping by. I'm sorry that today we're a bit in a more compressed mode, but I believe that we nonetheless, well, at least that was our trying. What do you think, Alessandra? Did we achieve that? Let's say later when we watch the replay, because when we're actually doing it, we're so excited about having people coming over, about delivering, sharing these tools, about, you know, building a community, because we really believe in talents. Like I said, we really believe in great performances. We really believe also that this is important, because great performances, great culture, great study is something that is positive. It's good for the world. It brings people different notions, different images. This is what we're here for, to give people magic, to transform the room, to ignite someone else's heart just for a couple of seconds, just for a couple of minutes, even for a day. That already is a privilege. So we should like take advantage of that immense privilege. It was a blast having you guys. All the best. Contact me for a free trial, and otherwise follow me here on YouTube, and see you next time on the 17th of February with the next masterclass. See you then, guys.